It's actually sort of mind-blowing that Sony thought remaking and selling an interactive movie was going to make them a boatload of cash, and the exact opposite has happened because Until Dawn on PS5 has debuted with less players than Concord, and it is struggling when it comes to user scores because of how disappointed gamers are. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I love a good interactive movie. I love being able to sit back, relax, just make impactful decisions in a game and not have to think about gameplay sometimes. Sure, I think that it is okay to have experiences like that, but gamers have spoken up and we simply want games the majority of the time. Yeah, we want really impactful storylines. We want characters who have a lot of depth, who seem realistic when it comes to their emotions, the way that they respond to the situations they find themselves in. But there has been a major problem with video games over the past couple of years where companies get lazy and they just want to make interactive movies time and time and time again. And most gamers don't constantly want experiences like that. And Until Dawn is kind of like a cult classic, right? It is a game people have come to love over the years, but that's all that it is a movie. And Sony really thought that they were going to remake this and it was going to make them a boatload of cash, but the exact opposite is happening because it has debuted with less players than Concord. It says Until Dawn's recently released remake slash kind of remaster doesn't appear to be very appealing, becoming one of the worst PS5 launches of the year. It also says Until Dawn's player count on PS5 is reportedly 28.6% less than Concord's, a game that bombed so badly, Sony pulled it from storefronts just 2 weeks after release. Now, I don't think that that's going to happen here. I don't think that they're going to pull it from the storefront and take the copies away from people and shelve it forever like Concord. But at the same time, we're not talking about a good situation for them here. And yes, sometimes games do take a little bit to pick up, but Until Dawn does have a very large following. It just boils down to the fact that why would we care about you taking a game, remaking slash remastering it, stripping away its atmosphere in order to chase realism and having to pay a full price tag for it? This should have been like a $20 game at most, but because they're charging a full 70 for it, that's just not going to sit well with people. And we also know that it's struggling on PC. It has very low player counts compared to other PlayStation games. Things are not going well for them. And to top all of this off, like the egregious pricing, the stripping away of like the atmosphere. We also know that there are technical issues. Ballistic Moon updated the Until Dawn Steam page to acknowledge the different issues. The post asks players to send any technical issues or bugs they experience to a specialized email address along with the platform, game version, and PC specs used. So it's so broken. They had to set up a unique email so that people could send all of their complaints to it. That's not a good look, but we know that it actually had peaked with a concurrent player count on Steam of only 2,067 on the day of release. And of course, compared to other PlayStation titles that made the jump to PC like Ghost of Tsushima and God of War, that number is incredibly low. Plus, there are also plenty of people pointing out the fact that the controversial PlayStation Network account requirement is a major factor as to why they're not, enjoying the game or why they're not buying the game. And right now on Metacritic, it's sitting at an okay score, but the problem is that while a 7.0 isn't terrible, it has been dropping very quickly and it's only got 144 user reviews. So I do think that over, the next couple of days, we are going to see this definitely tip closer to like a 6 or maybe even a 5. And there are a lot of people that are trying to, counteract the negative reviews with 10s. And yes, sure, Until Dawn is a great game, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, this didn't need a remake, it didn't need a remaster, and it's not even a technically sound remake. They stripped away a lot of elements. It's just not what people want. And as you can see, it's not going well for them. A 5, it was a fun game the first time. I don't know who this was made for, not for the price. You can just get the cheap version and get the same experience. It's true. Why would I spend $70 on this when I could just buy an older version of the game? No need for this to be remastered. The developers have done a terrible job. People saying my brother loves these games and he wanted me to play this so he could watch and see how I could do. I try to make it an enjoyable experience for him while I'm playing the game. He's played it. But yeah, I generally did not have a fun time playing this game, which actually had a positive effect on my brother. He could see how angry I was, walking all the time. The remake is worse in every way. The game is so much brighter, and the horror atmosphere from the original has been destroyed. The animation is weird, and the character faces are worse. The price is tragic. The original is a much better horror experience and is cheaper. No need to play this garbage. And yeah, if you've never played Until Dawn, this is a way to play it, but at the same time, I would not buy it anywhere close to a $70 freaking price tag. Now, of course, I love a good remake, a good remaster, and I love seeing people experience a game that I thoroughly enjoy for the first time. But on the flip side, it's just not okay to put the least amount of effort possible into a product that you are selling for a full price tag, and you still expect people to show up and swipe their credit cards. I know the Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot recently said, oh, well, gamers aren't buying titles like Star Wars Outlaws because their expectations are too high. And yes, our expectations are extremely high when you're constantly pumping out products and you're pricing them at $70. We are not going to buy bullshit anymore. And that is exactly what is happening with games like Concord, Flintlock Siege of Dawn, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, Until Dawn. If you create a mediocre product and it is not fairly priced, people are not going to show up to buy it. And this is a reality that companies, especially ones like Sony, need to realize, because yes, Sony makes a lot of money. Sony, of course, does put out a lot of products, and a lot of them are good. I'm not sitting here saying they've never created anything good, because that would be a straight up lie, but they've definitely stumbled over the past couple of years. And I'd love for Sony to just go back to making fantastic games, and for PlayStation Studios to actually listen to gamers and have some shred of respect for us. But we know a lot of people at these companies hate gamers. They basically want us to not exist. They want us to die. And instead of trying to make products for us, they just make products that they think an average gamer is going to show up and swipe their credit card for. And that's the lovely thing about movements like Gamergate 2, is that people are learning to speak up when they are upset about something. And that is what is happening here. I mean, people are taking to social media to say that they're disappointed. You even have some journos coming out saying this really isn't a great situation for Sony and for the Until Dawn team, Ballistic Moon. And you've also got all of these bad reviews. I mean, it is a plethora of problems for them, but it is fantastic to see so many people speak up and say, hey, listen, this is just an unacceptable situation in totality. And every time we speak up, we do get closer to these companies finally changing their tune and listening to us, because if they don't, they're not going to make any money anymore. So I will be keeping my eye on this, but it seems that this Until Dawn remake has been a complete and utter failure for Sony, and it's even rivaling their recent Concord failure, because it debuted with less players than Concord on PS5, and of course the scores are tanking very quickly. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.